Right, let's go through the next 4 practical exams. Probably not going to be difficult, but it's still going to be time-consuming. Especially since the stadium battles aren't something I'm all that likely to fast-forward through most of the time. Though I certainly will fast-forward through moments where I'm looking up something as a refresher before a battle. Sure, it wasn't a long period of me refreshing myself, but still, we've already gone through that lecture in a previous clip. So, for this battle, we dropped everyone's level to 40 instead of 50. Not that big of a thing, and probably tons of the moves that do a set amount of damage all end up doing the same amount of damage, but still, it's going to be a bit of a slog hitting these guys for 40 damage at a time when they've got health in the triple digits. As a side note, part of me can't help wishing that we got to see the trainers actually throwing their Pokeballs instead of them just flying out of empty air. Kind of a minor quibble, especially since, again, the animations for the Pokemon in this and the previous Pokemon Stadium leave the Switch games in the dust. It's just kind of depressing to know that the N64 animations in Stadium and Snap are the pinnacle of what the Pokemon video games can pull off visually to convey personality and such. Game Freak has the technology to bring this long-running franchise to the next level. They just haven't been inclined to do so. And when they aren't running in place, they've taken things back a few steps.
It's concentrating on improving its stats. What'll it do? A light hit. Sparks are flying from both competitors.
Anyone else getting flashbacks to the times in Viridian Forest where the Metavods and Kakunas would keep using Harden and only Harden? Sure, the little guys could take an absolute pounding, making us spend more moves to take them down than the small amount of experience they'd give us was worth. But the only way they could ever retaliate was if they ended up spending all their hardened power points, ending up struggling. And assuming they somehow managed to survive getting hit for that obscene number of turns, they'd still probably take themselves out. Now, I'm not saying that the Pokemon this swimmer is sending out are gonna run into the same problem. Clearly, they have 2 moves instead of just 1 to work with. I'm saying this practical exam feels like it's reinforcing a bad lesson I took from the first generation of Pokemon. A lesson that has affected me to varying degrees in a lot of other turn-based role-player games. Why bother buffing your stats when you can attack? Seriously. This guy's Pokemon could have easily beaten us if he just skipped the whole defensive buff for 3 turns thing and struck us from the start. His attack is stronger than ours and our health is less than his.
That's it! It's still not going to attack. The heated action continues. There's the attack. Great hit!
2 down, and our first Pokemon is still in green condition. By the way, why is he saying glub 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 when none of the Pokemon he's been using in this test are water types?
This is the last Pokemon.
And as I say that, the swimmer finally unleashes a water Pokemon. The worst part is I do like Cloyster as a creature. It looks damn cool and unique. So I'm gonna feel like an ass for smacking this guy down in 3 moves. I very much doubt I'm ever gonna have a Cloyster in any of the Pokemon teams I form in the various games. Not when there are so many water types that are extremely good. Water type is just such a stacked typing that it makes the grass and fire types feel neglected in comparison. Again, understandable considering how much of the planet is water, which means a good percentage of life is either aquatic or amphibious, but still, ouch.
Sparks are flying from both competitors. A sharp attack. Hit! That was good.
Not good enough to prevent this from being a rather embarrassing sweep. Seriously, the guy who sent purely grass types against fire and flying types managed to avoid that fate. And you'd expect it from that.
Goes down. And there goes the battle.
Can you even call it a battle when it was even more one-sided than the other practical exams we've gone through so far? Yeah. It failed, and my young brain at the time learned the wrong lesson from that, especially since it was reinforced by some things from the first generation of Pokemon and some other role-player games. Asking if I can dodge the 2-turn moves before we've even started the fight. I know he's probably another student and he's supposed to have bad ideas of what to focus on, but still, that is just... ugh. Okay, the only possible issue is me not having much of an idea of which Pokemon on his team are slower than ours. If I take off and fly at the wrong time, I'm gonna take all the damage instead of dodging like I'm supposed to. It's a bit of a coin toss to me, really. And apparently I guessed wrong, thinking the dog was going to be faster than the bird here. This is definitely going to hurt.
The white-hot battle continues. They prepare for battle. What now? Great hit!
Not great enough to make up for the damage we're going to take in return.
A serious attack! Not very effective.
Well, that not very effective attack did more damage than the neutral one by a large degree.
What's this?
Well, that certainly wasn't a lot of damage, but then I suppose people were far from frustrated with the Pokemon franchise back when the first generation was out. Very definitely not the case. It wasn't absolutely stagnant, it was growing. And it continued to grow even after I dropped away from the franchise. From what some people have told me, it started to degrade somewhere around the 6th generation. That's when they stopped really adding things permanently to the game, so each one built off the other, and essentially just had generation-specific gimmicks.
It's building up power for its next attack.
And it's not going to be able to charge up for an attack after that one. This Delibird has more pain to deliver.
Oh, it flew high again!
Great. Now I'm trying to decide if Delibird's fly is more ridiculous to look at than Doduo or Dodrio. Really, none of those three parts looks like it has the body type to be able to go airborne. At least not without some other creature outright throwing it. And yet, fly is a move they can learn. Is he saying his level 50 Pokemon is terrible when the Pooch was following his plan perfectly and it was just an easily worked around plan? Or is he calling me terrible for beating him with the exact counter for his rather specific attack pattern? Because sure, both make him look like an ass, both of them make him look like the kind of ass that shouldn't be in competitive encounters at his age, but one of them makes him into the kind of brat I wish we could directly slap instead of the superpowered animals he's sending out to fail in this exam. Wait, so the horned dog had Solar Beam, but the big plant lizard uses Skull Bash? Shouldn't it have been the other way around?
It's a fierce battle. There's the shot. There it goes.
Yeah, definitely feels like the Venusaur wasn't built for bashing his skull into things. He's got a glass jaw. I mean, sure, critical hit plus super effective is gonna do terrible damage, but it's been a while in these practical exams since we've taken someone down in essentially one shot, even with a type advantage. And frustration really didn't add enough for me to feel like that. Yeah, it was essentially a one-shot. And just like the previous battle, this looks like it's gonna be a sweep in our favor. Ah, well, at least this plant type has Solar Beam, not that that's gonna really help him much. like to see the beam missing instead of us seeing it fire and then seeing no evidence that it ever existed, but that's just me being more nitpicky.
A powerful blow.
And that's a second extremely heavy strike. It's certainly no surprise that the Ivysaur wasn't any more durable than the Venusaur. Yeah, another sweep in our favor. It doesn't really feel all that awesome to see through a plan that straightforward, especially when the person outright tells you what they're gonna do before they do it. The only real issue was getting the timing right, since despite the fact you're encouraged to learn the speeds and other stats of various Pokemon, it's not like you can open up a status screen in the middle of a battle. So it all ends up feeling like guesswork to me, and I'm sure there are plenty of Pokemon players who have memorized quite a few stats all over the place. It's definitely a lot easier to do in the second generation than now, but 251 is still a rather intimidating number. Hell, any number over 40 feels intimidating to me in that kind of context.
This is the battle between the students of Earl's Pokemon Academy.
I wonder how many people in the Pokemon world would bother watching shows that have students competing with each other. I'm not saying there wouldn't be a market for it, but I just don't see it being all that much of a thing when a large chunk of the world would be watching higher level battling.
Ah, it raised its special defense.
Sorry, pal, but it doesn't matter how special you are. Getting hit in the face with a rock is going to hurt the same regardless.
The battle continues. It's still padding its stats.
Again, we're reinforcing a lesson that I'm sure the game designers didn't intend to teach, and it's a lesson I'm sure the game designers didn't mean to teach.
It's concentrating on improving its stats.
Does it even remember that it's already improved its stats? And just what is the logic in making something like amnesia in any way beneficial?
But the other one looks tired. There's the attack. Great hit.
It doesn't make up for all the not-so-great hits we got in before that, sir.
No strength. Yes, it's a hit.
Why couldn't we have gotten that critical hit before we had him badly damaged enough that a regular hit would get the job done? Not that we're relying on luck to get anything finished here. I just wouldn't mind if luck was more firmly on our side instead of just a tease.
They're both hanging tough.
Well, of course the large Pokemon that just showed up on the field is hanging tough. She hasn't had to endure anything yet. I'm sure the girl is going to get scolded for saying that line over and over again, thinking it'd be funny. I certainly didn't find it funny the first time, and I doubt that opinion will change by the 9th.
What'll it do? Hit! That inflicted some damage. It's still not going to attack.
Which means it's just gonna lay there and take another hit.
What's next? That was a glancing blow.
Painfully close to finishing the Snorlax off. Hell, if this was a wild Pokemon, this would be the point when I'd be trying to catch the bastard.
The white-hot battle continues. What's this?
There's another Pokemon getting taken out of the classroom. Excuse me for finding it odd that the Snorlax only stood up just for the sake of showing itself falling over when it spent that entire battle on its back anyway.
Oh, it's Slowking! This is the last Pokemon. The heated action continues.
If the action is so heated, why am I pretty tempted to nod off in the middle of all this? Is it a result of the move choices of the people we've been facing in this clip? or a result of there being nothing to do things at the moment other than just the long, overdrawn clashes that we know are going to go our way and have been pretty much sweeps. Hell, maybe it's an indication that I possibly need to just stop bothering with the school stuff for a while, at the very least. Maybe do the Challenge Cup where you take a pre-assigned team on a tournament run, and then decide if I'm going to do more school stuff or go into the Crystal run from there. I'll probably decide more definitively later on.
Now one more.
And that's yet another sweep. Seriously, who the hell decided that the fights against people who use buffs would feel more one-sided than the fights against people who have super effective moves against? Some really baffling decisions from this school so far, and this is all within the beginner category for everything. The stuff that they assume every trainer should know before they get on the road. The other two categories are labeled as Gym Leader and Elite Four. I'm not sure if it counts as spoiler or not, but when I was recording, I managed to complete the Gym Leader section and finish the lecture and quiz parts of the Elite Four section. I'm not sure if I just got annoyed with dealing with the Elite Four practical tests, or if I got completely stonewalled by one of the battles there. Either way, I did not go all the way and complete everything in the Pokemon School as far as I remember, and yeah, that kinda tracks. I may be a fan of Pokemon, but I'm not an ultra fan. So I don't know absolutely everything, and I'm sure even the information we've been seeing in the 3 clips we've gone through so far has started to slip from my mind. Anyway, it's fairly obvious that the Pokemon with 2 moves on our team are more preferable than the ones with just 1 when we're dealing with yet another buffing trainer. I swear I've seen less buffing in Buffy the Vampire Slayer than I've seen in this clip. And since buffing and cancelling out buffs is going to be an obscene bit of time wasting for a single battle, even for my tastes, I am going to be fast-forwarding through it, seriously. Over 8 minutes for a single 3-on-3 battle. I'm sorry, but I can't find it in me to care that much. And that's really tempting me to take this last bit of school clips in this playthrough, since even I'm starting to get tired of them and want to move on to all the other things that I could be doing in the second generation. Would it really have been too much to ask that the game actually lets some smoke linger when someone uses smoke screen, or the body doubles to stay in place when they use double team? Look at me, asking for an N64 spin-off game to do more than 2 generations of mainline Nintendo Switch games could pull off. Pokemon really does a great job of making its audience imaginations flow. And it's part of what makes it all the more painful that the Pokemon Company's imagination seems to be one of its greater weaknesses. Hell, you could argue there's also a lack of imagination in the number of other Nintendo intellectual properties, even the ones that they keep making releases for. Why am I even bothering to use Foresight if it's not doing anything and the announcer keeps calling that? Do I just not know what Foresight actually does, despite reading the entire lecture on it and similar moves before starting this fight? Clearly, I am not an A-grade student. Still, I can eventually tell when I'm not getting something right and correct myself, even if I don't correct myself in the right way, so I suppose that's something. Why not keep attacking if you're already comfortable with attacking? Did he just know that we're gonna switch somehow? I don't think so, but it does make me suspicious of if the AI in this game can read what you're gonna do and actually makes its decision for its moves after you've already done so, despite the user interface indicating otherwise. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Doesn't feel like sparks are flying, feels more like things are getting pretty hazy as we wait for this to finally finish. Bloody hell, this fight has certainly been drawn out. Thankfully, we only have one Pokemon left to knock out and we're done here. Yeah, accuracy-affecting moves kind of feel broken in their own way. I distinctly recall reading that moves like Double Team were banned from some competitive scenes because they were too damn good. I'm not sure if that's still the case in the meta, though. Hell, it's not like I pay attention to the meta in any of the games I typically play through, even if I enjoy them quite a bit. Apparently that Horsey isn't all that inclined to do status moves like his buddies were. Understandable considering how I've been handling things, but come on! This sort of thing isn't giving me new habits to improve how I fight. It's kind of reinforcing things I've built up in my mind since I tend to prefer playing these games solo instead of doing anything competitive with them. I know I'd get absolutely trounced facing off against other players, but I'm still having fun in this world, and that's all you really need. Anyway, that finishes off the last of the practical exams in this level, and with it to the end of the clip. I hope it was less of a slog for the people watching things at the moment than it was for the person commenting on the footage after the fact. Are they all telling me they gave up, or that I should give up on going through the next level of classes? And oh good god, I definitely don't think I have it in me to go through another 5 or 6 clips of this. Next time I'm definitely doing the Challenge Cup as the prelude to us getting Crystal started.